Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday. As you are listening to the show today, it is the second Thursday of the month. That means it is LFCC Day. And boy, have we got a show in store for you. I am not pre-recording on Zoom. I am pre-recording, but I am at Lord Fairfax Community College, sitting across the table from Amber Foltz. She is the Dean of Students. Amber, we were joking when we walked in how creepy quiet it is when classes aren't in session here at LFCC. This is kind of weird.
It is. I've been saying to our students, we're so excited to have them back in person, face-to-face this fall, because a college without its students is a really, really lonely place.
And I would imagine, as someone who is the Dean of Students, it's even worse for you.
It is. I think working with the students is absolutely the best part of my job, being able to be an advocate for them and to assist them with the many, many, many things that they might need over their course of their time here. So while certainly we filled the gaps with phone calls and a gazillion emails and more Zoom meetings than I can count, I actually got to help a student in person yesterday, and honestly, best thing about my week.
So what does that mean as Dean of Students? Do you have a team? I mean, what does your office do?
I do. So myself as the Dean of Students, and we also have a Dean of Enrollment Services. We really oversee all of the different student services programs on campus. So within my world are things like academic advising, student life and engagement, tutoring, testing, the things that are designed to kind of support a student while they're here and keep them progressing forward. And then our other dean, Mia Leggett-Dzura, who is our Dean of Enrollment Services, oversees the really like enrollment services, admissions, our financial aid, kind of the services that are designed to help a student make it through the front doors.
And that makes sense. I mentioned to you, I do the Lord Fairfax, the LFCC Stories podcast, and I cannot tell you every single student that I have talked to, over 2-3 dozen of them, they all rave about their advisors and how helpful they were and how friendly they were and how they really helped them navigate their path and told them about programs they had no idea existed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that really stands out at LFCC is that we've really worked so hard to make the experience really personalized for our students. We believe strongly in developmental advising, and so kind of meeting a student where they're at and then helping them to grow their knowledge and grow their skills to move in a certain direction with their skill set. I was recently looking at some literature about students and the process of getting decided. And one of the interesting statistics that always jumps out to me is that between 50 and 70% of our incoming freshman students come in undecided. They might think they have an idea of what they want to do, or they might feel strongly that they have an idea of what they want to do until they take their first class in that field. And so we know that really engaging our students from the very beginning in that process of what does it mean to get decided? How do you research careers? How do you take the impressions you formed from what you've seen on TV or what you've heard your parents talk about, or your best friend's parents or whoever it may be, how do you roll that into real good knowledge and understanding of what the career fields are that are open to you, and how might your skill set and all of the different pieces of your personality fit well or not into the different career fields. So I think that's just really an essential part of engaging with students from the very beginning, but also over time helping them to develop a good education and career pathway that'll help them get to where they want to go.
It's funny you say that. One of the recent podcast interviews that I did was with student Kelly Himmelwright. He was a 2021 graduate at Lord Fairfax, TRIO graduate of the year. Started off when he first came and thought he was going to be in the healthcare profession. Ended up, he's now got a cybersecurity degree. He's off to ODU. Totally not what he first thought he was going to do when he came here.
Yeah, I mean, that's so common among our students. In fact, I always try to share. I do some of our new student orientations here. We kind of arm wrestle about who gets to do those, and because it's so fun to engage with our brand new students. But I tell them all the time, as a student myself, my freshman year, I was a first-generation college student. I was a low-income college student, and I decided that I was going to be an astronaut. And so I went to my college, and I declared physics as my major. And first semester freshman year, I took physics. And the second semester of my freshman year, 6 major changes later, I decided on criminology and criminal justice, a field which I actually graduated in and never have worked a single day of my career in. So I think I always try to share, like, I'm a good life lesson about the fact that it's okay to change your mind. And even because, sometimes we feel a little nervous about commitment and committing to a degree that we might think in our minds locks us into one career path the rest of our life. And so I always put myself up as like the ideal. That's not always what happens. Paths change, doors open. You never know what will come. And so, don't box yourself in. It's okay to choose a degree. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to graduate with something and then be like, hey, this other opportunity arose. I think I might jump into it, because you can, my story, I get to be the dean of students, which is the best job at a college, in my personal opinion. And I would have never foreseen this for myself. Like, never in a million years would I have thought I'm going to be the dean of students at a college. So just kind of taking that first step and diving in is so important. It's sometimes hard, but it's important and will help you figure it out along the way.
And that degree in criminology was not wasted, because you could still find in another 10 years that that's the path that you take. There are probably classes and things that you did on the course for that degree that help you in your job that you have today.
Right. And actually, I jokingly say I do criminal justice work every day, because when we do research on crime and criminality, we find that education is the biggest protective factor against criminal behavior. So I work in a college, therefore I'm highly invested in crime prevention.
It's like the 6 degrees of crime prevention,
Exactly.
according to Amber.
Yes. Yep.
Well, and you guys have a lot of different programs, a lot of financial aid programs, a lot of programs that are geared toward what you mentioned a second ago, these first-generation college students, low-income college students, kids who never thought they would ever find themselves in a college classroom. We're going to talk about one of those today, which is the G3 program. Tell me about what it is.
So G3 is a really clever way to look at the needs of our state and the needs of our local economies within our state, and also the needs of the population of the state of Virginia. And so this idea came up that we should be providing more funding for Virginians to get educated in high demand fields in Virginia. So G3 stands for get an education, get a job, give back.
So it's not some big long word you can't pronounce. It's literally bare bones, basic.
It is absolutely bare bones. So we're really working on getting people skills, getting people jobs, and then in doing so, that provides them upward mobility. It provides more tax dollars for the state of Virginia. It provides Virginia employers qualified employees. So it's kind of a win-win situation. So the way that will work is that we will look at, for both our workforce students who are coming in for short-term credentials and our credit students who are coming in for certificates or degrees, we will consider them for a G3 scholarship if they are pursuing one of these high demand fields. And that G3 scholarship will cover the cost of their tuition and fees if they're eligible.
Nice. Maybe I'm not too old to go back to school. I've been saying that since the beginning of time, and Brandy rolls her eyes and says, I'm never going to believe it till it happens. So we'll see how that goes. But how are there eligibility requirements? Obviously, you have to be a resident, I would think, of the state of Virginia.
Yes. So that is the first eligibility requirement, is that you do have to be a Virginia state resident. And we call that, in higher ed terms, your domicile. So you would need to live in Virginia to establish domicile for at least a year. Above and beyond that, a student does have to complete a FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. That's kind of the standard application that most higher education institutions use to determine eligibility for any kind of federal or state financial aid. Then the next tier would be your eligibility would be dependent upon what that FAFSA disclosed about your income. The really exciting thing about G3 is that, unlike most forms of financial aid, which are really only the students from the lowest income brackets are eligible, G3 really expands financial aid to lower and middle income families. So, for example, a student who lived in a 4-person family that made less than $100,000 a year might be eligible for a G3 scholarship. So it's definitely a higher income bracket, because our state needs us to be producing professionals in these fields. They need employees. And so there's a real emphasis on training in these areas. The last thing is that I've been saying high demand fields quite a bit. So not all of our programs are eligible. Students who plan to come to LFCC for a couple of years, earn an associate degree, and transfer directly to a 4-year school, those programs are not going to be eligible for G3 funding. They'll be eligible for lots of other types of funding, but not this particular one. So G3 funds are really looking at students who want to go directly into the career field. And they're going to be in things like healthcare, IT, cybersecurity, things in the like general engineering, technology, drafting, trades areas. So really kind of thinking about where our employment needs are and how to meet those needs.
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to dive into some of those fields a little bit more, because I talk about them a lot with Guy Curtis from Workforce Solutions. Mm-hmm. Brandy and I have had many conversations about those kinds of things, and then kind of walk through whether you have to be a full-time student and all that kind of stuff. So can we do that in the next segment?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation. We are pre-recording at Lord Fairfax Community College today with Amber Foltz. She is the Dean of Students here, and we'll be back and talk more with her in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a quick money chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday. As you are listening to the show today, we have pre-recorded our conversation, not on Zoom. I am leaving my house today. We are at Lord Fairfax Community College having a conversation with Amber Foltz. She is the Dean of Students here. And Amber, we've been talking about the new G3 program, Get Skilled, Get a Job, Give Back, which is what the G3 stands for. When we went to break, you were talking about the designated programs. Run through that list of those for me again, please.
Okay, I'd be happy to. So programs that would be considered G3 fields are those that are preparing individuals for careers in healthcare, information technology, including cybersecurity, manufacturing and skilled trades, and early childhood education and public safety.
All things that when you're running through, yeah, we need those. Yeah, we need those. It makes perfect sense.
Yes, right now when you're thinking about the jobs that are available, there was a recent meeting here on campus that was around the healthcare education tracks and healthcare careers, where someone from Valley Health said they have somewhere in the range of 600 to 700 jobs right now that they need to fill. That's our largest employer in this region, and that's a lot of jobs that we need to be preparing people to go into. So when you think about an employer like that, they're going to cross really every single sector of G3. We think about them in terms of healthcare, but Valley Health employs IT people, they employ maintenance technicians, they employ public safety and EMS folks. I mean, it just kind of crosses the entire spectrum, and that's just one employer in our region. So we're definitely looking at increasing opportunities for individuals to go into these careers, and not just to go into them, but to decide what level of commitment they're able to make for their life right now. So we know not everybody is at a place in their life where they can say, I'm really looking for that 2-year associate degree. That might feel like more than you can bite off with your responsibilities. So the wonderful thing about G3 is that it is eligible for people who want to come and do a fast track credential. They can come, they can do kind of a boot camp style program where it's really immersive, and they're able to move through that program in a matter of weeks rather than a matter of years, and get a credential on their resume that makes them employable in the field. So, and students would then have the option at that point to decide, hey, I've achieved my goal, I've gotten solid employment, I'm content where I am. Or they can look at what's the next step in the stair step. Each one of these industry sectors is kind of built like a staircase. So with healthcare, for example, you could start with earning a CNA, a Certified Nurse Assistant license. You can go to work as a CNA. CNAs are being hired by the handful in our area. And you could make a decision that you've achieved your goal, or you then have the opportunity to be looking at other healthcare professions within your place of employment. Do I want to go on and become a registered nurse? Maybe not, but maybe I'm really interested in emergency medicine and I want to go that way. Maybe not. Maybe I'm really fascinated by the science of medical laboratory technology, or the intricate work that is done by surgeons, and I want to become a surgical technologist. The wonderful thing about G3 is that it really does allow people to kind of determine their level of commitment, how long they have to complete the program, how soon they need to be employed, and will support them throughout those stackable areas. So a person interested ultimately in nursing could come and earn a CNA, and then could come and do our practical nursing program and become an LPN, and then go on to transition into our advanced placement RN program and become an RN, and then ultimately might say, I want to transfer and I want to continue on to pursue my BSN and my MSN, and the sky is the limit. So I think that's so important, and it's so remarkable about this G3 program is that it opens doors at a lot of different levels for a lot of different individuals. And each individual can really personalize their track along the way. But being able to do that and know your tuition and fees are covered is pretty awesome thing.
And you mentioned being able to work immediately after you have finished one. Another one of the podcast conversations I just recently had was with Kareem Jenkins, who graduated in 2021 with a medical assistant program certificate, got a job almost immediately, and now is working towards being the RN. That's what he decided he wants to move on up to. He can do it at his pace. He said he never would have been able to do that to begin with if it hadn't been a 3-month program.
Yeah, I mean, it is, like I said, I look at the people that I know in my life, and folks who are kind of kicking around that idea of, do I want to go back and retool or retrade in a different field? Or, our younger students who are coming up that might need to help contribute to the family income to make ends meet. There's so many different dynamics and so many different factors. So that ability to go to one place, one school, and consider this entire range of options is, I think, a really excellent opportunity. And we just couldn't be more excited to have this funding chance that I really do think is going to open the doors for so many families that might not have ever been eligible for any kind of financial aid before.
So does it work then, like you fill out the FAFSA, which I will tell you, I was terrified. When my son was getting ready for college, I was terrified of this form. Everybody had talked about this form and what a nightmare. I didn't find that it was that difficult. If you have the answers, you just fill in the blanks. But you fill out your FAFSA, and then you find out what federal and state aid you're related to, you're allocated or allowed. And then everything else, there's an application here then that gives you the difference?
So what we do is we will be using the FAFSA form to determine that financial eligibility. So there's no extra G3 application that a student needs to do. These are scholarships, and we'll be looking at every FAFSA application to see, is this student eligible for G3? And we will be prioritizing if you're eligible. It's that one step of the FAFSA. And you're right. I can remember from back in my day, I'm not going to date myself too much, but it might have been in the 90s, when my mom and I nearly came to blows about that FAFSA, like the biggest fight we've ever had, because neither of us knew how to answer the questions. Over the years, there has been a big emphasis on trying to simplify the FAFSA. It does deal with your tax information, so it's not ever going to be quick and easy, but I do think that the time to complete a FAFSA has gone down from hours to less than an hour at this point in time. So it's not as intimidating as it used to be. And our financial aid office and our financial aid personnel are so helpful. If a student has questions, they can go to the financial aid website on our webpage, and there's a big button that says Get Help Now. And you can get help on Zoom. You can get help over the phone. You can get help over chat. You can come to campus and get help on campus. There's so much help. So if you're doing the FAFSA and you get stuck, because it does happen. Sometimes you look at a question and you think, ugh.
Or I didn't know they were going to ask me for that. That's the other thing. I was so relieved when I found out I could leave it.
Yes.
And then come back, go get whatever I needed from my ex-husband's third year of income, whatever, and then come back and pick right up where I left off.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes. And it is, like I said, it has gotten a lot better, that FAFSA, but we know it's still not the most simple thing ever. So we've built all these layers of support that'll just provide help and guidance and get you unstuck if you do get stuck.
Now, do I have to enroll as a full-time student? Can I be a part-time student to qualify for the program?
G3 is eligible to support students who qualify and enroll full-time in the fall and spring, part-time in the summer semester. So you wouldn't have to be full-time year-round.
So I can, and that's another way where I can kind of work that into my schedule and say, okay, I can leave this block to be a full, and even a full-time student. There are online class options, there are night class options to work around any kind of a work schedule you may have.
Absolutely. So we are excited to be returning to offering in-person classes in the fall semester, but we know so many students, so many families benefit from the flexibility of online coursework. So a student who would want to enroll at LFCC would really get to make a lot of choices about whether they want to be online, whether they want to come in person, whether they want to do a blend. I know a lot of students who will say, I'm fine taking English online. I'm going to need to be in a classroom for that math class.
That would be that's the kind of student I would be.
Yes.
And I can probably do an online class at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning if I don't have my camera on, but I can't be dressed and presentable in a classroom at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely. Or, I work nights, so I either need to do my class right before I go to work or as soon as I leave work, because I got a window that I'm going to need to be asleep.
Yeah.
That's the benefit of being a community college, of having such a large percentage of our students as adult students. We really have built the flexibility for students to build a schedule that they need that will work for their life.
Is it available now? Is that program open? Can somebody register and say, hey, this is what I want to do today? And how do they do that?
So July 1st was the official start date of the G3 program. And our financial aid office right now is going through and determining eligibility for G3. So a student who applied now, who did their FAFSA, would absolutely be considered for the fall semester, and these funds are in place and ready to be set for students. So don't delay, apply now. It's here. Come and get it.
Now, when is registration? We're sitting here in early July. When does the fall semester start? When is registration?
So our fall semester 14-week classes start August 23rd. We always have classes that start a little after that because of the variety of needs in our community.
The flexibility that LFCC offers.
Absolutely. You can really start at any time. We're right now in the midst of registration for fall classes. So new students can apply. Our current students should already be enrolled for fall, but we know there are some of you out there that haven't done that yet. So we would encourage you to do that now. Right now is the time. And as I mentioned, we are going to have some of our classes back in person. So we've been kind of following our enrollment trends, and it does appear that once students kind of sampled online classes, that they might be a little more open and flexible about staying online, because we're seeing some trends that show that our online enrollments are pretty healthy, and our in-person enrollments are growing, but not at the the same rate as our online classes. But that's the great thing.
You
can decide for you.
I have said that is probably going to be one of the silver linings that comes out of COVID, is this online option, not just for working remotely, but also for learning remotely.
Absolutely. And, one of the... I think we all try to look back on the pandemic and look for the pearls of wisdom and look for the light that came out of that out in the midst of so many challenges. But one of the things that I think we've excelled at is figuring out how to do every single one of the things that we were doing in person, and now make the option to do those in person or do those online. So when you're a student here, if you want to talk to your advisor, you can choose Zoom, phone, in person. Want to meet with a tutor? You can choose. So across the board, I think there's the flexibility to serve students how they need to be served. And whether that's evenings, whether that's online, whether that's in person, I'm still I value that face-to-face, let us solve the problem together kind of approach. So we're really offering it all, the full spectrum, to be flexible and to meet folks' needs.
So lfcc.edu is where you go online, and you can search G3. You can follow all the prompts, because the website is gorgeous, and just follow the way through. Can somebody, like you just mentioned, show up, park in the parking lot, and walk in the door? Are there regular hours here now? How does that work?
Yes. So we do have regular hours in student services. Monday through Thursday, we have staff on campus from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. Fridays from 8 until 4. Some services are available outside of those windows, but for the most part, that's the time frame. We are open and providing services in person. I understand, though, that, we're in this phase of the pandemic where we might make decisions to do more online because that's more comfortable, or because we have concerns about health and well-being. So as I said, all of our services are available in a fully online variety as well. And so our website, lfcc.edu, is a great place to start. There's a button there for future students that kind of walks our students through the application process and the enrollment process and what that looks like. There's also a quick link, lfcc.edu/G3. And that quick link has all of the information about our G3 programs. It gives information about each of the short-term credentials that are available through Fast Track, through our Workforce Solutions office, as well as our credit, certificate, and degree programs as well. So each of those pathways, those stair-step, stackable programs, is available for a student to look at. And one of the great things that we implemented during the pandemic is our little chat on our webpage. So I would say that is where we get most of our questions. So if you have a question, hop on our webpage, and when the little chat box comes open, you can feel free to drop a question, and we will have one of our enrollment services or one of the rest of our team get back with you live time to get you answers to the questions that you have.
Awesome. Well, Amber, thank you for taking some time out of your day to have this conversation. I think this is a brilliant program, and I am mentally making a list in my head of people that I'm going to email that link to, because they're the ones that have been saying, I should, but I don't know. There is no reason not to with a program like this.
Absolutely. I think... I really think this is huge for our state. I mean, it is huge for our locality, for all of the prospective students that might benefit from some financial assistance to come in and learn a new skill set and kind of gain a different direction for themselves academically and career-wise. But it is also going to be huge for our local employers, who we know right now we're seeing now hiring everywhere. And so, it's important to our local economy to get people trained up and filling these really good, solid jobs in solid career pathways.
Fantastic. I will be back tomorrow. We are chatting with Tracy Vosica. She is a volunteer from Froggy's Closet. They've got a really cool cornhole tournament that is coming up at Richard's Fruit Market on the 17th of July. So Tracy is going to give me details for that tournament, how you can register, and kind of fill me in on what Froggy's Closet is, Frog Families Reaching Out group, and get all the details for that. So meet me back here tomorrow just a few minutes after noon.